is Mart from Mart's Movies Review. And today I'm going to do a review of Shane Meadows, the film director of Dead Man's Shoes, Town, and Made of Stone, the Stone Roses documentary. Now, Shane Meadows is one of those directors like Andrea Arnold that I got into about 15 years ago. And I just like their work. I just like they're kind of independent filmmakers. They've got into the mainstream as well. Andrea Arnold from last week's show, Andrea Arnold and Shane Meadows are two of my favorite filmmakers. Well, digital makers now, you could say. I like their films for the last 15, 20 years. The two of my heroes. I mean, Andrea Arnold's film Red Road is one of my favorite films. Maybe in my top 10, and Town is one of my favorite films, which will also be in my top 10. Now, Shane Meadows, of course, is famous as well for one of his biggest films called This Is England, about early 1980s in England, and was starring Stephen Graham, just a well-known TV and film actor now, and kind of Tommy Twiggins from Town. And one of the first movies I saw was Dead Man's Shoes by Meadows. It's a kind of revenge thriller based in England. Paddy Considine's an army man coming back from the war, and he's finding out that his disabled brother's been bullied and harassed by a group of men he's hanging around with, and he kind of takes his revenge on the men who are doing that to him. And there's some funny, humorous visual humor in the story as well, as long as the kind of drama plays out, a kind of Western style and a revenge story. And there's a lot of humor in the story as well as kind of tension, suspense. It's a very well written story by Meadows, who kind of grew up in Nottingham, and he was making short films in the 1990s. And he went to acting school with Paddy Considine. And Paddy Considine now is a well-known actor. You see him in a lot of movies. He was in one of the Bourne movies as well. And the last 20 years, he's kind of taken off. He's directed his own film as well called Tyrannosaur. Yeah, Shane Meadows started making movies in the early to mid 90s. He went to film school with Paddy Considine, and they were making short films around Nottingham. And he was wondering, how can I get my films out there? Can I go to the cinema? How can I get them out there? There's no kind of short film festivals at the time as such. So he kind of created his own film festival, and he started putting all these movies into the festival to get seen by his friends and family. And he got into Channel 4 then. He made a short, and he got going with them, and they made one of his shorter documentaries. It was on a series of documentaries at the time. And then he got kind of going in independent filmmaking, like in 1997, late 90s anyway. He started making a film called 24/7. It's a black and white film with Bob Hoskins and Ricky Tomlinson. And then he went on from that to make a great film, a kind of a little coming of age story called A Rome for Romeo Brass. And he went off then mainstream after that film. He was kind of told to go mainstream, so he says in these interviews. And he went mainstream with a film called Once Upon a Time in the Midlands, kind of pastiche of Once Upon a Time in the West, Sergio Leone movie, spaghetti western. Yeah, but he wasn't happy with that. He wasn't happy doing commercial films like that. He said there's too much control, too much production, too many notes. So he decided to go back to independent filmmaking again. And he made a short little movie called Town, which is kind of funded by the Eurostar. It was kind of an advertisement for St. Pancras to Paris. And it's about a young little fella from this young man from the Midlands who's kind of just run away from home, and he meets up with an immigrant in London, and they hang out with a French girl as well in a cafe restaurant. And this is kind of sweet coming of age story about the three of them hanging around together, and how they kind of deal with their life and times. And after that, he was making a documentary then after that, which was on their Stone Roses. Stone Roses had their kind of comeback tour in 2012, and he documented the backstage and the front stage of their tour. And the movie came out in 2013, and it's seen as a masterpiece, seen as an excellent kind of love letter to the Stone Roses. With Ian Brown is the vocalist, the lead singer. You had John Squires on guitar, you had Manny on bass, and Rennie on the drums. It was a great kind of late 80s, early 90s band, indie rock. And he made an excellent documentary on them, and it's went viral, as they say nowadays. Yeah, Shane Meadows is a very good man to talk about movies. There's a lot of interviews with him on YouTube. You can just find out how he got into short films, how he got into movie making, and like he's made some excellent films over the years. So that's the show for this week. That's the review on Shane Meadows. And if you like this review, you can just like this video here on YouTube and on Facebook, and you can just like the rest of our videos. You can just subscribe with the red button, subscribe button, and on the right hand corner of the screen, and tune in for more Lear Media videos here on learmedia.tv.